Hi, welcome to the State of the Nation weekly update with me, Mike Sham. I've been wondering about something this week. We are obviously not in an election cycle. We've just completed the election recently. And I was wondering why none of our political parties really care about the voters. I was thinking about it. Obviously, in the aftermath of what's gone on in Tshwane, it looked like an unpopular decision was reached. A compromise decision, revenge by Action SA, a statement by the Gauteng ANC. Never once in the discussion were taxpayers being heard or voters being heard. Now, you've heard me whinge and whine about the state of Johannesburg, which has to be seen to be believed. And I realize that there's a party that's in power. There's a coalition, in fact, coalition between the ANC, the EFF and the Patriotic Alliance with help from Action SA is in power here in Johannesburg. And I'm wondering if any of them even gives a damn about the voter. The next local government election is in 2026. And I'm looking at this and wondering how any of those parties are going to get one vote from the voters because the place is a mess. And by all accounts, the same applies to Kuruleni, eThekwini, Nelson Mandela Bay. And you think to yourself, you're a political party, you deal in votes. But yet there's not one of those parties there that is in power that seems to give a damn about voters. And I fear that we are heading in the same direction with the government of national unity. Because once again, I don't hear a lot about voters. I hear a lot about positions. I hear a lot about fighting. I hear a lot about party policies. But I don't hear anybody sitting and saying, we want to serve our voters better. We want to make South Africa a better country. I just don't see it. And I'm looking at the votes and I'm looking at the future and I'm wondering how any of these political parties see themselves growing in the next election. Not one of them. So here we are, because we have just now completed the election, and it's almost like the politicians are saying, sort of breathing a big sigh of relief and saying, well, look, it's over now. We don't have to worry about campaigning. We don't have to worry about impressing anybody. We can just get on with it, live in our nice big houses on our fat salaries paid for by the taxpayers, drive in our blue lights, go and shake hands with foreign dignitaries. But nobody's talking about the voters, let alone the taxpayers. You know my gripe there. I'm thinking, what a bad strategy. What a bad strategy. That would be like after McDonald's, does their annual reports that they don't care about customer service anymore. Could you imagine? Why wouldn't you? Why would you run your business not caring about your customers all the time? And I think that if you really think about it long enough, the problem is us. The problem is the voters. Our elected officials have lost all respect for us. We have heard our politicians say that this government of national unity is what we voted for because we didn't give any party a mandate. How terrible is that? You got the votes you got to serve in the best interest of the voters that did vote for you. So do your job. Do your job to your best of your ability. We don't want to hear your fights. When you go into a store, you don't want to hear the cashier fighting with the floor manager or anything like that. No, you want to get your product and get the hell out of there. Why do the politicians think that it's different for them? Why do they think that they can now disregard voters, not make South Africa a better place, divide, lawsuits here, there, and everywhere, talk about their own problems that they may have had a generation ago? But the one thing you never hear is respect for the voters, and I just don't see it. And I'm telling you that either us, the voters of South Africa, need to get our act together. We need to start saying to politicians, this is just not acceptable. We just do not want to be disregarded the way we are. We didn't vote for a dysfunctional government of national unity. We voted for the parties we voted for. in the hope that those leaders would lead in the best interests of their voters. And collectively, we'd get the best outcome for everybody. And we'll vote in the proportion that serves our interest best. Well, that hasn't been the case. I don't know how you feel. But when I look at water shortages, when I see that crime hasn't improved, 50% unemployment, you just do not hear a word about it. There's the odd minister running up and down, and maybe Home Affairs has improved because we don't have to wait 6 months for a passport or an ID book, ID card. That's about the only thing we're seeing. But make our lives better. Whether this is at national level, at provincial level, at local level. I interact with politicians all the time. I interact with analysts all the time, and we are fixated. How long is this government of national unity going to last, and what's going to happen, and this one's leaving this party to go to that party. And we hear all of the games, and I report this to you all the time, and it's all wonderful. It's a bit like sort of commenting on a soap opera. But tell me how that is improving your life, and I don't see it. I don't see it, and I don't see why we should continue to give our votes to people that are not making our lives better. So I think it's time that us voters got together and became a little bit more strident about what we want, which is an improvement. We want an improvement. You know, it's not unrealistic for a taxpayer to want the value of his biggest asset, his house, his car, to go up. That is what other countries live and die by. In South Africa, it's deemed a luxury. No, it's not. It's a right. You are paying up to 40% of your money away so that these people can do those things, and they're not doing it. Right? When you flick that switch, you want the lights to come on. When you turn that tap, you want the water to run out. Providing you pay for it, that's fair enough. This is not us. It's not a nice to have. We're paying for it. But you just don't hear it from the politicians. You never hear the president on television talking about how he's going to improve something for somebody, something material, not those old things of, oh, this is a legacy of the past, etc. I want to know what you're doing in the present, and I certainly want to know what you plan for in the future. But we vote, we give them our support, we love them even though they do nothing for us. And I think that we South African citizens, the time has come for us to reconsider the way we approach our politicians. These guys are not celebrities. These guys are elected officials. They are public servants there to serve us, and they must serve us. And they're not. I'd like to touch on something else, and that is the genius of Jacob Zuma. Absolute genius. Once again, not a week goes by without the MK party indulging in some other lawfare of some sort. In most cases, they lose it. And you start asking yourself, why? Why do you keep on going back to courts? Let's remember that one of the few things that that MK promised in their election manifesto was that they were going to do away with the legal system. Well, for guys that hate the legal system, they use it enough. And they keep on going back to court, and they keep on going with frivolous case after frivolous case and losing every one of them. And you've got to start asking yourself why. There's a tactic behind it. And here's the tactic. The tactic, quite simply, is that Jacob Zuma will trade on the victim card. And he will say, you see, the whole world hates me, and I'm the ultimate victim, and the legal system, I keep on losing because the legal system is biased against me. So, in other words, hold on to your hats. Nkonto Wesizwe party is going to go to court every 5 minutes and lose every case. They're going to keep Dolly and Mpofu busy losing cases because it's what he does best. And by the time we get to the next election, MK is going to say, look at us, we are such victims, and you're a victim, and we can help you. That's a genius move. Because many South Africans feel that they are victims. Hey man, we all feel we're a victim. Somebody out there is out to get us. We all feel that in one form or another. But imagine a leader, somebody that you look up to, saying, the system is rigged against me. Vote for me so that I can change the system, because I'm the guy who can change the system, because I am going to fight this crusade by myself. It's pure, pure genius. That's possibly why he appointed as his leader in Parliament a guy who was in the legal system 20 years. He was a High Court judge, Judge President of the Western Cape, John Slaughter. He knows the law inside and out. He's not going to sit there and advise them and say, guys, we're going to lose this case. He knows better than anybody else they're going to lose this case. But yet they keep on taking the cases and they keep on losing them. And don't be fooled. That is the strategy. The strategy is to lose the case. The strategy is to look like a victim. Come election day, all those years from now, he's going to stand up and say, look at us, the system is rigged against us. So don't fall for it when you hear it, because by then we should all know what the tactic is. So we need to understand politicians and the games they're playing. And on the State of the Nation, we're going to keep uncovering the games that they play. And we are not going to allow them to get away with their bullshit. But I think what we've got to start doing is we've got to start asking our elected officials, whichever party you voted for, how are they making your life better? And that is the important thing. So if you've enjoyed this weekly update, please support Pace Car Rental. Go and rent a car from them and get a discount. Subscribe to the State of the Nation. I know it's a bit shorter than usual, but hey, if you don't have a lot to say, then let's not take up a lot of time. But thank you for joining us. We'll see you again soon on the State of the Nation.